And to go in-depth on the impact of the no-deal Hanoi Summit on inter-Korean projects, let's connect with Dr. Kim Jongun, professor at the Korea National Diplomatic Academy. Thank you for your time, Professor.
My pleasure.
Inter-Korean projects have hit a snag, especially after the Hanoi Summit, but the silver lining here is that the video reunions of families separated by the Korean War got the green light from the UN and the US. I want to start off by talking a little bit about the significance or implications of the planned video family reunions.
Well, first, I want to say that the video reunion of the separated Korean families is nothing to do with the U.S. or UN economic sanctions on North Korea. It's a humanitarian measure, so it can go apart from the economic sanctions imposed to North Korea. But, we got a little bit embarrassing situation where the two leaders of U.S. and North Korea failed to reach an agreement recently in Hanoi when they got the second summit between them. So the North Korea-U.S. relations have been a little bit the hard and cold. So at this time, if we have the inter-Korean cooperation in terms of the video reunion for the Korean families, could kind of the warming or the open the talk between the North Korea and the United States, it would be a little good sign that we can make the North Korea and the U.S., especially North Korea, stay in the negotiations.
Now, the U.S. has also given a sanctions waiver on U.S.-made materials that need to cross the border to the north for the video reunion. You've mentioned that this has nothing to do with the Hanoi Summit or the nuclear deal, but how should we interpret this particular sanctions relief from U.S.?
Well, although it has nothing to do with the North Korea-U.S. The negotiations or the North Korea nuclear issue, but it can have some kind of impact to the U.S. North Korea-U.S. Negotiation, because North Korea got the serious sanctions from U.S. and the international community, and that makes North Korea really difficult in terms of doing the daily lives for its people. So the North Korea has argued that U.S. and the international community have relieved the sanctions just for its people's daily lives, and the relieving sanctions or the examining with the waiving sanctions in terms of the video reunion, it's really a positive sign that U.S. got a little bit the opening the stance in terms of imposing sanctions to North Korea. But it's just still the low level and just starting points of relieving sanctions or waiving sanctions, but it should be a good sign.
Now that the UN and the US have given the green light, it's up to the two Koreas to make the video reunions happen. But we're hearing that the weekly inter-Korean meetings that are supposed to be held through the Joint Liaison Office have been put on hold for almost 3 weeks now. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's because of the results of the Hanoi Summit. As I mentioned earlier today, the two leaders met in Hanoi and they got their talks for 2 days, but they failed to reach an agreement. So after having such kind of the result, North Korea I think, is very busy to review and just evaluate what happened in Hanoi, and they are preparing for the next step for the negotiation with the United States. So North Korea needs time before they are resuming any type of the talks or dialogue and activities with the United States and South Korea. So I think that North Korea is going through that kind of the preparation time, and it'll take about 3 or 4 weeks. So we need to wait.
Now to the inter-Korean military talks. You've mentioned that North Korea needs more time now, but North Korea has shown a passive approach to military talks as well, despite a joint recovery operation planned for next month. I believe it's set for April 1st, which is less than 2 weeks from now. How do you see this?
Well, I personally hope that the inter-Korean talks for the military, the areas should go without the negotiations between North Korea and the United States. But North Korea got such the important meaning to the negotiation with the United States. So the inter-Korean projects, including the military talks between the two Koreas, got a serious impact from what happened in terms of the U.S., North Korea-U.S. Talks. So again, the North Korea is having a preparation time. So North Korea is very careful in terms of expressing any opinions about inter-Korean projects, including military talks. So that's why the North Korea is passive nowadays in terms of the military talks with South Korea. So we need to give some time to North Korea before it responds to South Korea's call.
North Korea has actively pushed for inter-Korean projects, regardless of a delay or the results of its talks with Washington so far. But it seems a little different this time. Like you said, it looks like North Korea needs much more time this time. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, North Korea needs time, and North Korea's negotiations with the United States could be the top priority that its people and its regime, North Korean regime, has. So without the progress in terms of the talks with the United States, any other low-level talks or any other related talks, including inter-Korean talks, should be affected by that. So North Korea is stopping almost all talks with the South Korea, and it takes time to prepare for the next step with the United States and South Korea. So that's why we are seeing this kind of little bit difficult time nowadays. So we need to wait.
Now, do you think the Pyongyang-Washington nuclear deadlock will last for a long time? And if so, would the long-term deadlock have a big impact on inter-Korean projects that were agreed upon last year?
Well, I don't think that North Korea will take much long time before it resumes talks with the United States and South Korea, because the North Korea recognize that long-term parts of the talks could mean the negative impact to the talks with the U.S. and the South Korea, especially in terms of talks with the United States. In the United States, there is still the huge amount of pessimism about whether North Korea is sincere in terms of denuclearizing itself. So if North Korea takes too long time before resuming its talks with the United States, that pessimism in the United States should grow bigger and bigger. And that means that the President Trump got the bigger pressure in terms of the stopping or the changing the opinion and the posture dealing with the North Korean issues. So it should not be a good sign or the good signal to anyone involved in the talks. So I think that North Korea will take just a couple of or 3 or 4 weeks before it completes its review and evaluations of the current situation, and then try to find the path to the resume the talks with the United States. And I think that role should be done by South Korea.
Well, I was just about to ask you that. That brings us to our next question. What approach should South Korea take from this point on with regards to inter-Korean projects, despite numerous obstacles?
The first, I think that South Korea takes two steps in terms of the the making or leading the North Korea and the United States resume their talks. First, wait, and second, facilitating role. First, the South Korea allow North Korea and the United States to think about and review and evaluate what happened in Hanoi and what kind of the next step they need to show. So two countries need to have some time before resuming talks. So South Korea should recognize that the importance of allowing them to have such kind of time, and then after that, South Korea needed to take the very active facilitating role to bring the two countries back to the negotiation table. At currently, the two countries, North Korea and the U.S., got very different difficult situations in terms of changing their opinions first, because of the failure of the reaching an agreement in Hanoi. It means that if North Korea or United States, one party need to want to change their opinion or the posture about the other party, it means that that party, the country, got the responsibility in terms of the failing to reach an agreement in Hanoi. So any country, North Korea or the United States, could not move first. So they got the very difficult stalemate or the deadlock situation. And that deadlock should be resolved by their third party or the facilitator, South Korea. So South Korea needed to take active facilitating role with an alternative that bring two countries to narrow down in terms of their arguments. So that South Korea first talked to North Korea and listened to what Chairman Kim wants and deliver what Chairman Kim wants to the United States, President Trump. Just try to communicate with the North Korea and the United States, and then try to provide the alternative to the other two countries and try to bring them back to the negotiation table.
So close inter-Korean communication looks important down the road. Now, U.S. National Security Advisor Bolton said that if North Korea decides to resume nuclear and missile tests, it would have a quote-unquote real impact on President Trump. How do you interpret this comment?
Yes, a real impact. I think that the Bolton sent the very strong the warning to North Korea. You know, President Trump has argued that the biggest achievement he has got from the talks with North Korea is that North Korea has stopped the nuclear missile tests since it got the negotiations with the Trump administration. So it means that they're stopping nuclear and missile tests by North Korea is the threshold to make the United States remain in the negotiation. It means that if the North Korea violates or break down the threshold, it means that United States could walk away from the negotiation. So President Trump doesn't want to see that kind of bad situation. So President Trump has been sending such very strong the warning signal to North Korea that North Korea should not resume the nuclear or nuclear and the missile violation or the provocation.
Now, one last question before I let you go. North Korea's Vice Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee recently has stated that North Korean leader Kim Jongun would soon make an official announcement on North Korea's post-Hanoi Summit plans. What kind of diplomatic strategies do you expect from Kim Jongun?
Well, it should be open to any possibilities, like in the resuming the nuclear missile provocation, or just the express his opinions that he still wanted the talk with the President Trump, or the other types of the dialogues. But I don't think that the President, the Chairman Kim, would make a comment that the North Korea would resume the nuclear the missile the provocation, because it means that North Korea want to walk away from the negotiation. I don't think that Chairman Kim would want to see such kind of bad situation like the President Trump in the United States. So I expect personally that the Chairman Kim would show the low level kind of response or the reactions to the United States so the argument. It means that the North Korea, the Chairman Kim, tried to appeal to international community that North Korea has taken the precaution, many nuclear measures, but North Korea has not got any kind of corresponding measures from the United States. So the North Korea, the Chairman Kim would appeal to the international community and push U.S. to take the corresponding measures. And that kind of the most expected the responses from the North Korea, but that tone should be low. So low key responses from the North Korea. It means that North Korea still wanna talk with the United States and wanna make a progress in terms of the denuclearization and U.S. corresponding measures.
Well, we're standing at quite a crucial crossroads. Thank you so much, Dr. Min, for your insights today.